I thought we could begin by reading one of the Spiderwick Chronicles called The Wrath of Mulgarath by Holly Black and Tony Diterlizzi. Chapter 1, in which the world is turned upside down. The pale light of the newly risen sun made the dew shimmer on a nearby grass as Jared, Mallory and Simon trudged along the early morning roads. They were tired, but the need to get home kept them going. Mallory shivered in her thin white dress, clutching her sword so hard that her knuckles went white. Beside her, Simon shuffled along, kicking stray bits of asphalt. Jared was quiet too. Each time his eyes closed, even for a moment, all he saw were goblins. Hundreds of goblins, with Mulgarath at their head. Jared tried to distract himself by planning what he would say to his mother when they finally got home. She was going to be furious with them for being gone all night, and even madder at Jared because of that thing with the knife. But he could explain everything now. He imagined telling her about the shape-shifting ogre, the rescue of Mallory from the dwarves, and the way they had tricked the elves. His mother would look at the sword and she would have to believe them, and then she would forgive Jared for everything. A sharp sound like a kettle whistling at full volume snapped him back to the present. They were at the gate of Spiderwick estate. To Jared's horror, trash, papers, feathers, and broken furniture littered the lawn. "What is all that?" Mallory gasped. A screech drew Jared's eyes upwards, where Simon Griffin was chasing a small creature around the roof and knocking pieces of slate loose. Stray feathers drifted over the roof tiles. "Byron!" Simon called, but the griffin either didn't hear or chose to ignore him. Simon turned to Jared in exasperation. "He shouldn't be up there. His wing is still hurt." "What's he after?" Mallory asked, squinting. "A goblin, I think," said Jared slowly. The memory of teeth and claws red with blood awakened a horrible dread within him. "Mum!" Mallory gasped and began to run towards the house. Jared and Simon raced after her. Up close, they could see that the window of the old estate was smashed and the front door hung by a single hinge. They darted inside through the mudroom, stepping over scattered keys and torn coats. In the kitchen, water poured from the faucet, filling the sink piled with broken plates and spilling onto the floor where food from overturned freezer was defrosting in wet piles. The wallboard had been punched open in places and plaster dust mingling with spilled flour and cereal covered the stove. The dining table was still upright, but several of the chairs were knocked over, their caning ripped. One of their great uncle's painting was slashed and the frame was cracked, although it still hung on the wall. The living room was worse. The television was shattered and their game console had been shoved through it. The sofas were ripped open and the stuffing was scattered across the floorboards like drifts of snow. And there, sitting on the remains of the brocade footstool, was Thimblestack. "All my fault, all my fault." As Jared moved closer to the little brownie, he could see that the Thimbletack had a long raw scratch on his shoulder and that his hat was missing. He blinked up at Jared with wet black eyes. All my fault, Thimbletack said. "I tried to fight. My magic's too slight." A tear rolled down his thin cheek and he wiped it away angrily. "Goblins alone I might have driven off. The ogre just looked at me and scoffed." "Where's Mum?" Jared demanded. He could feel himself trembling. "Just before the break of day, they bound her and carried her away," Thimbletack said. "They can't have." Simon's voice was close to a squeak. "Mum!" he called, rushing to the stairs and shouting up to the next landing. "Mum!" "We have to do something," said Mallory. "We saw her," Jared said softly, sitting down on the ruined couch. He felt lightheaded and hot and cold at the same time. "At the quarry, she was the adult and the goblins had with them. Mulgarath had her and we didn't even notice. We should have listened. I should have listened. I never should have opened Uncle Arthur's stupid book." The brownie shook his head vigorously. "To protect the house and those inside is my duty, guide or no guide. But if I had destroyed it like you said, none of this would have happened." Jared punched himself in the leg. Thimbletack scrubbed his eyes with the heel of his hand. "No one knows if it's true or not. I hid it away. See what we got." I'll stop here for now and we'll carry on next time.